All right, let's talk about Baker Mayfield very quickly here. And I want to do this, too. Robin Lochner, who is with the Browns women's group that Mike talked about last week, is in the studio. She's going to join us coming up in the second hour of the program. And we want her thoughts. We want a woman's perspective on a topic that men have been talking about ad nauseum.
Well, not just a woman's perspective, but a Browns fan specifically.
A Browns fan, but also we do want,
No, but a female Browns fan.
We keep having men up here talking about this, and it doesn't feel like there's representation on the other side. So we're going to do that later in the show. Also, next, let's turn to Baker Mayfield, because there have been a couple of reports recently, within the last couple of days, that all of a sudden there's this new heightened sense of urgency for the Browns and the Panthers to get a deal done. And the one that was floated out there by a media member was, why don't they just change quarterbacks? Darnold to the Browns, Baker to the Panthers, similar salary swap, just get it done. Maybe the Browns get a draft pick thrown in there just to make it a little more worth their while. It looks like that the Browns are going to end up paying all of the $18.8 million of Baker's salary. But the reason we're doing this now is because the most recent report that we saw yesterday said that there's urgency on the Panthers' part because, as you can see here, they want to get Baker in there in time for minicamp. Well, guys, the Panthers' minicamp, like the Browns, starts today. It ends Thursday. So perhaps this could be a red flag that something could be coming in the next day.
Here's my advice. Why don't you, Carolina, you want that? Go ahead and cough up. If that's really a concern right now, this is exactly the opportunity we're waiting for, is somebody actually wanting something in exchange. And if that's probably just going to be the first one of those two, I think, that we see. Somebody's going to get hurt. Something's going to happen where he's going to have more value. Right now, we have nothing to lose by sitting on this guy, and I don't. Unless we get something back, I just don't see any point. I just don't. Other than everyone saying it's just get the headache out of here, get it out of the locker room. I think the people.
He's not in the locker room.
He's not in there. He's fine. Just let him sit there until somebody wants.
The reporter's
to give something up.
The reporter's Jonathan Jones. He just got promoted to insider at CBS Sports. He's new to the insider game. I mean,
well, I watched his report last week that we talked about.
I'm not taking a shot at him.
No, he just doesn't have a long track record that we can say this is a legit.
What's the guy's name?
Jonathan Jones, I think it is.
No Jones bombs yet?
Yeah, not yet.
Let me make it clear. I'm not saying he's making anything up.
No,
of course not. I'm just saying I'm a little skeptical about this because. First of all, the timeline doesn't make sense. Like, why? If there was going to be an urgency to get him in for minicamp or for mandatory
this
minicamp,
is minicamp.
Wouldn't that urgency have happened last week so he'd be here? For
Yeah,
minicamp
you would think. I agree with that.
And I just don't get. Again, I understand Baker's a decent quarterback. I get it. We can debate how good he is in the pantheon, but nobody's really going to argue that he's an elite quarterback or a top 10 guy. I don't know that. I just can't picture any of these teams being desperate to get Baker.
You know who I'm surprised we haven't heard more from is the Lions. I thought we
they're
would
paying Jared Goff a lot of money.
Yeah.
Could have done a Goff swap.
That's the problem. Ultimately, I think there are a handful of teams that would like to have Baker. I don't think there's any team that is desperate for Baker. Otherwise, he would be there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I know earlier I had said just release him, just be done with it because the drama. But I'm easily swayed. and I've completely changed my mind on this. Bull and mostly Bull, but Mike too. You've worn me down.
Yeah.
And here's I think here's the bet that the Browns are making.
Yeah.
And it's a great bet to make. A few quarterbacks are going to be hurt by week 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that always the case?
Right.
I mean, for once we're
it's not training camp.
Yeah, likely one will go down in training camp. We've seen it a million times.
Right.
But even if it doesn't happen in training camp, there will be a frontline quarterback that goes down in the first 4 weeks of the season. And I think that's what the Browns are waiting on. They're just saying, hey, look, we're going to have to pay a lot of this money. What if, God forbid in Green Bay, but what if Aaron Rodgers went down? Or what if one of these big-name guys that is the team's relying on him to take them to the next level? You've got to have a guy that's proven, that's been a starter in the league. You don't want to go to a rookie that's been sitting on the bench for 3 years with no experience. Man. So that's when Baker's price tag would go up. So I guess play the waiting game here.
I still think they could trade him soon. I don't think they're going to get that picky. I mean, ultimately, they're not going to get a huge haul, even if a quarterback got hurt. Nobody's trading the first-round pick for him.
And look, if they could offset $4 million of the salary, the Browns would love that at this point.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even think it's about a draft pick, really. I just think about who's willing to eat a certain amount of money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is one of those things. Read a book back in the day called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right?
Yep.
This is a case where, You save your money, right? You got your money that you can use. You put it aside. You don't spend it every weekend, living paycheck to paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. You keep that money so that when things come about, you might see a car that, wow, that's a good going to work car.
Or a rainy day.
Or a rainy day. Or, hey, what the heck? My kid decided he wanted to go to master. He wanted to get his master's, right? Or there's
Jet
a house,
ski.
piece of land over there that appreciate. The reason you got that money is so you don't got to be desperate. And so the Browns, you give them credit. They've been financially solvent. They haven't really done too much crazy things with their money. And now they can say, well, we'll just sit them. We got the $18 million. We got that covered. Yeah. No big deal. And then you can capitalize on somebody else's desperation. Somebody that thought they were going to contend.
That's true.
Quarterback hurt.
Well, they can do that because they're paying Deshaun $1 million this year. So the two quarterbacks combined are $19 million. If you tell me you can get Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson for a total haul of $19 million,
right?
Sign any team in the league up for that.
Josh Dobbs is making at least $80 an hour.
Shut up, bro. This proves the salary cap is fictitious.
More than most teachers are making.
You can do all that maneuvering, right?
And the flexibility that I think the flexibility is there because the way they structured the contract. Now, I also think the way they structured the contract has probably pissed some people off on Park Avenue because I would imagine that Goodell and the troops up there are saying, so wait a minute, if we dink him for the whole year, it costs him $1 million. Right. That's it. And that's why.
Why do they care though? And screw the other team. And by the way, everybody that's worked up, everybody's worried. Oh, the other teams are angry. Who gives a rat's you know what about the other? Listen, this is good for the Browns that the Ravens and Bengals will have a harder time paying their quarterbacks.
Thank you.
The Bengals have no money.
Yeah, but they're changing this game moving forward forever for all teams.
Who cares?
That's what's happening.
Who cares?
Well, the Browns have to, and the Browns have to live in that universe too.
The Bengals might not be able to pay Joe Burrow. You have to have a certain amount of that money on hand to sign that contract.
The
Bengals don't have the money.
You know, Bengals poor. You know them boys. The Bengals poor. They ain't got no money.
Yeah,
well, once Brown sees that ass, he's like, well, good luck in Miami.
The Bengals are the Dolans of football.